Hey Sliders, this week I wanted to take it back to the past and bring back an old episode of my podcast, Is This Podcast Name Taken? This is actually the first time Jallah and I spoke in like 10 years, and it's the beginnings of the journey we went on in order to start Akira Slide. And people really seem to like the last episode that we pulled out of the archives, so I'm doing it again. This is... I don't know why I gave it this title, but Mike Jallah is Daddy Dearest. And it's an episode of a podcast I started during the COVID-19 pandemic that was about the things people were doing to stay sane. It's very, very different from Akira Slide, I think, because the energy is just totally off. We're doing it over Zoom. And I used Dermot songs for the show instead of commissioning my friend Stu. It's about being a new father during an uncertain time and stepping up and being a brave, good guy. Hey everybody. We haven't really taken a second to reflect on 2020, so I thought I'd bring on a friend of mine who's a new dad and who had a really crazy but blessing-filled last year. If that's not enough, we also talk about our favorite moments of 2020. Here it comes. Thanks for coming back to Is This Podcast Name Taken? It's the show about the things we're doing to stay sane in a crazy world. I'm Michael Rowland, and today we have a guest who I haven't seen in 10 years, and I'm really happy to see him again. He was actually suggested by Aaron, who was on a previous episode. You can check that one out. It's pretty good. But listen to this one first. Don't skip away from this. I fucked it up already. He is a dad. He's one of my only dad friends, I believe. And he has a daughter who was born right before things got really crazy. His name is Michael Jallah. Hey, Jallah, how you doing?
I'm good, man. It's a pleasure to be on the show. Happy that you have me on.
I am happy to have you. I definitely thought about asking you to be on before, but I was nervous because... You know, you're Jallah. We call you Jallah, and like you've got this aura about you. Days. Yeah, you have this aura about you where it's like I could be doing so many better things with my time than this crummy little podcast. But Aaron said I should face my fear and have you on, and you agreed to come on. So it's my pleasure to have you on. Have you been on a podcast before?
I haven't. I've always wanted to though. So when you asked me, I was like, "Oh yes, this is my chance."
first time a guest has ever said that.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
I love podcasts. So I think
you were just telling me about that you really like listening to like talk radio and podcasts. What are some of your favorites?
Well, I think it started. Speaking of Aaron, it started a long while back. The friend of mine, best friend Aaron, he was, I think during school, maybe it was like early high school or middle school or something like that. He was listening to a radio show called Loveline with Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla, and they would have David Alan Grier, who's a comedian, on that show, and he's like a famous guest on that show, and he was absolutely hilarious. And that's where I first heard like kind of radio talk. I mean, aside from like radio DJs and stuff that we listened to back in the day, but I was interested in that, just cracking up at the guests, big comedy fan. David Alan Grier is hilarious. So I listened to that and I got back into it again in college, when we were, this is back then when I was doing a lot more downloading of things. Back, maybe like early 2000s, 2007, 2008. Downloaded all of the DAG appearances on Loveline and just would crack up listening to those. And then I was like, you know what? This chemistry is pretty good between the two, with the hilarious comedian in the middle. So I'm just going to download like more of just the regular show with just them. So I downloaded a bunch of that stuff, started getting into it. Thought it was hilarious, but also very informative too. I think more informative than people might think. I think a lot of people kind of have it as like a little teeny bopper, like sex problems show, but it deals a lot more deeper things. When you get a big swath of people that are calling, talking about issues, you start to hear patterns and things that are either relatable or things that you relate out into the world that you see that you can identify with. And I always thought that was super interesting. So I kind of got hooked from that. And more now recently, I probably listen to hip hop podcasts. Like I'll listen to Brilliant Idiots, and that's like Charlemagne and Andrew Schultz, who's another comedian. I'll listen to Joe Budden podcast, which is like three guys kicking it, talking about music, talking about this, that, and the third, making jokes, stuff like that. Also gaming podcasts. I'm a big gamer, so I'll listen to this podcast called How Did This Get Played? That's really fun podcast.
I love that show.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Good chemistry with those three.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not a gamer myself, but they've won me over because Nick Weiger is the host for a show that I really love. Sorry to interrupt you, but
no,
I just want to let you know that we have some of the same favorite shows, or at least one.
For sure. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, the show's great. I love the. I actually got put onto that a little bit later, more recently, actually, probably like within this year, I think. So pretty fun.
Well, hell yeah. Did you have any other shows you were going to talk about before I sort of stepped on your toes?
No. I was just kind of going through like my list of stuff, PlayStation podcasts that I listen to because I've mentioned that I'm a pretty big gamer and stuff like that. But other than that, I kind of hit the gamut. I like to listen to like podcasts that are from like people that have been in the industry and then are either talking about what they've done in the industry or like just hearing their personalities outside of their profession. So like musicians doing podcasts, I always think is really fun because you get to hear the personality of that person who does the music that you love or did the music that you love or whatever the case. So that's always really fun. And just like techie podcasts and stuff like that. MKBHD is a big YouTuber that I follow too. He has a podcast as well, and I listen to that. So I dabble.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Those are some good sounding shows. I guess my question for you is, since you're a gamer, we've had a few people on who play games here and there. And the question I always ask is, did you play more games when the pandemic was starting, like in March, April, May, or what did you do to pass the time during those days?
When the pandemic had hit heavier, see, I've always had it as a hobby and something that I do in my free time. So it's always kind of been around. But I will say I have been leaning more towards gaming and less toward TV movies than I realized. And that was interesting because maybe like a year before that, I was kind of like watching a lot of TV shows with my wife even before like our daughter was born. Like we watched a lot of binge up a lot of TV shows and some movies here and there. And I would game I'd game in between that. But I think I've started leaning a lot more towards just gaming per se and less TV and movies, which has been interesting. But I've been favoriting things that I think look interesting, but I've never really come back and said, oh, I'm going to sit down and watch this for, a few hours, et cetera, except for one show recently and a movie or two. So
now you'll hear this. I didn't lead him, folks. So the thing that we've talked about on the show a lot is that it's harder to watch TV and movies right now.
Something with the brain, man.
It's easier to play games. So, I mean, even I, who, again, my middle name is not a gamer. I played all sorts of games when the pandemic got started. I speed ran. I didn't speed run them. I played all the Sonic 16-bit and 8-bit. That's the Game Gear ones.
Nice.
I played all those, and
I guess technically I speed ran them because Sonic's always running.
The fast man. Speaking of Sonic, did you see the movie?
I did. Yeah, we had an episode about it where we tried to analyze it probably a little too much.
I like deep analyzation though, so I should probably check that episode.
It's what did you think of it?
I liked it actually. I thought it was fun. I think I was starting to hear that. I was starting to hear a little bit that people were like, "Oh yeah, this movie actually wasn't that bad." So like I was kind of coming in like, "Okay, this isn't gonna be super garbage. Let's just see what it's like."
Sure.
And I thought it was actually pretty good. Probably one of the better gaming movies that's been released, like period.
Oh, definitely. But that's, not to sound like a dick, but that's like damning with faint praise. When you look at all those gaming movies.
Yeah. Pretty bad.
The thing that I said that I'm not sure I've seen online, so it might be like a ludicrously dumb, cancelable opinion. I felt like the movie didn't nail the character of Sonic. I thought he was really whiny and like he's like, I just want a friend.
Yeah, they try to fit him into this like friendship, like loneliness frame. To fit the overall, so you could fit a actual like movie-esque storyline around a hedgehog character.
And like, I know I'm listening to myself and I sound like the comic book guy from The Simpsons, but I kind of am.
That guy's hilarious.
That guy rules. Isn't the goal of that show to tell you that you should be like him? That's the joke. He's
not
really
to frame
awesome.
him in any weird way or anything.
So that's what I thought about the movie. It is a good, solid family movie, for sure. Ben Schwartz did a great job voicing Sonic.
That was Ben Schwartz?
Yeah.
I didn't check the credits.
Oh man,
he's hilarious.
He did a great job, I thought.
Yeah,
and,
he's hilarious.
Post-credit scene honestly makes me excited about the sequel. Like, I didn't love the first one, but like the idea of introducing, and sorry if you haven't seen it yet, spoilers.
I mean, whatever. When did that movie come out? Like 2 years ago?
Almost a year ago.
Oh.
Almost a year ago.
Oh, it hasn't even been a year? See, that's what the pandemic does. Slows everything down. You're like, it's been like 3 years, man. No, it's been.
That's a great point. So a lot of the shows I listen to have had like best of 2020 episodes or like game shows about like what year did this happen? Like, did this happen in 2020 or not? And I forgot stuff about 2020 and I thought it was like from 2 or 3 years ago.
It's bizarre, right?
Like Parasite winning Best Picture at the Oscars. I should have remembered that was from last year because I love that movie. Mm-hmm. And it was so crazy that a foreign film won Best Picture.
I still need to see it, by the way. So slow. Okay. So slow.
Well, I won't spoil anything, but Tails appears in the post-credits scene. Wait, I think I might be getting that mixed up. So anyway, so we talked about a little bit about Sonic. He's a good guy. But speaking of fast, kids grow up so fast.
Absolutely.
And you're the proud father of a 1-year-old baby girl. Is 1 years old still a baby? Does that qualify as a baby?
You know, I was going to say the physician, but the pediatrician, the physician that sees me regularly. No, the pediatrician was saying, started referring to her as like toddler.
Damn it.
Yeah. Okay. So she's like, I feel bad. Like a year and like 6 months now.
Wow.
A year and hopefully, I hope I'm not butchering it. I'm bad with dates, but
we can edit it.
Yeah. But I think, and so she's definitely in toddler mode. I will say that. So,
well, the reason, one of the big hooks of this episode is that you're a new father in this crazy 2020 world.
Indeed.
And how did that impact your relationship with your kiddo, I guess? I mean, did you have to stay home from work or what happened there?
Yeah. Yeah. The story is unfortunate in a way. So like I work like a tech job as like a QA, like a quality assurance tester guy. And so I'm able to work, usually we'd go in the office and do our work. And the way the thing shifted was originally before the pandemic, she was born in August. We were taking care of her. And then when I had to go back to work, and I think I took off like a month or something like that. My wife took off obviously had some time off as well. Then when we had to go back, and she had to go back, we had worked out this thing where my mom would come in the morning and watch her while I was doing while I would go to work. And then a neighbor girl would come by and watch her in the afternoon, and then I'd be home, and then I'd be able to relieve her. So then I'd spend time hanging out with her. But this is like when she was much smaller, so it's more sleep for her. It's feeding her and stuff like that, and trying to keep her entertained. But then as the pandemic had hit, maybe this is probably, obviously we started hearing about whisperings about this in like February, and then March really kind of started to set into people that something was going on. I believe it was maybe April or something. My mom, so she works in a nursing home. And so, or like a nursing home or a care, in-home care facility. So when this started coming up, she was kind of afraid to be coming to the house and watching my daughter while this was going on. So she had to pull back. So she stopped coming in the morning. So then I was with Luna in the morning time up until the afternoon. And the neighbor girl would come like only a couple days of the week. So like maybe twice. On the other times, it'd just all be just myself. So like I'd be, hanging out with her. Again, when she was younger, it's not as crazy because she's sleeping, having more naps, not as active. So like you can multitask a lot easier and stuff like that. And, that was kind of like the transition. So I had less help as the pandemic had hit, but the positives of that is, I forgot to mention that between this time when the pandemic had hit, I was able to work from home. So
I was wondering about that.
Yeah. So I was already in the house. And luckily, like before right a little bit before, a couple months before the pandemic, I'd kind of been working on and off at the house anyway. Cause like it was easier to just kind of be at the house and with the, wanting to be with the kid and stuff like that. So that was fun. But then I started getting less help when the pandemic hit. The neighbor girl was coming still. So she was like my only point of contact, like help in the afternoons and stuff like that. But as the kid grows, Luna, my daughter, she grows and getting older, you start to get more active, wanting to, see things, wanting you to walk with her and stuff like that. So you have to do a little bit. I had to do a little bit more with her to keep her active and keep and playing with her and occupying her time and things like that and enjoying our time together. But then the work kind of pulls back a little bit, as far as like productivity, things of that nature. Yeah. Like, and I guess people that I work with, they're kind of aware of these things. Like this isn't something that's brand new. I probably was one of the few people though that had less, probably the youngest child. I think most people kind of had like definitely toddler age and older kids that could, hang out by themselves for shorter periods of time. Of course, they're not hanging out with themselves all the time. Kids come in and out of the room, things like that. So you'd hear that on calls and stuff like that. But, that transition was, it was difficult. I will say that, but the fun part is that the connection with my daughter is like very close, and like we spend like a lot of time together, like most of the day. So like, we've gotten to get, we know each other, and like watching her grow from like, a young babe. I actually forgot to mention, speaking of, she had actually been born early. she was supposed to be born in October, but she was born in August. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, so like for the first couple of weeks, she was actually in the NICU, and we'd have to like go there and visit her, and that was super difficult. And she's got to teach her, like, she was just at the cutoff of learning to eat by herself. Eating by herself meaning like the suck, swallow, breathe technique hadn't been processed all the way yet. So she had to learn that stuff in the hospital, practicing breastfeeding and stuff like that. But there was a lot of feeding, like nose feeding stuff until she got that whole flow. And so that was a whole thing at the intro of her being born before the pandemic. So this is, the summer. This is like the end of summer, fall, winter months. So, it was great to bring her home and have that time, and just kind of having her a lot closer. I hated being in the hospital, like, to see my, like, I don't like they're there to take care of her, which is great. And love that. But like, it's nice to, when you're in a hospital with with a child, the doctors have to treat it like, they have to treat it more, I don't know how to describe it, like more urgently, like as things are progressing. Like, it's not very lax. Like, it's very like, she has to do this. Okay, now she has to do these things before like we can be okay with letting her go, or she has to gain this much weight, and so it's kind of like this arching, like not overarching, but kind of like this weight around her being in the hospital because she's got to complete these things or get past these milestone points in order for you to have her in the home. So like I wasn't in love with that, but they did take a great care of her, and she did great. And
sure, yeah,
watching her grow has been excellent. That was my long tirade or tangent about kind of like the process of having my daughter at the house and watching her grow, and my work being kind of pulled back a little bit as far as importance, and having to find different times to work in the day rather than the normal 9 to 5 stuff. So that's kind of been my flow.
Well, no, it's not a tirade or a tangent. It's really important information. I'm really glad you shared that. And I don't want to speak for you, but it sounds almost like this staying at home order is kind of like a little bit of a blessing for you as a father, Absolutely. Especially with your baby girl having to be at the hospital for a while. You got to spend time with her at home where you want her. Yep. So it's kind of moving that there's some sort of silver lining to that black cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. I've noticed a few silvers in the cloud, which is
there's also silver in your hair, right, buddy?
Exactly. That's where all the silver is coming from. It's actually coming from my scalp.
We were talking about that before we recorded, and we're both men who have lots of gray hair, and with Jallah, it makes sense. But for me, I don't really have much stress in my life.
It's a lot of you got to have the salt and pep. It makes me gives me a certain air. You know what I mean?
My stepmom says it makes me distinguished.
Exactly. There's the word.
She used to say if any girls were mean to me, to tell them that my stepmom likes it.
That'll fend them off, kind of like a...
Yeah, that would be like, what the fuck? Why is this guy talking about his stepmom? I am glad that Luna is there with you, and she's happy and healthy. And I've never met her, but hopefully once we get through this whole pandemic thing, I'd like to meet her.
Yeah, that'd be great.
To our eagle-eared listeners, I would like to say that she may be an August baby, but she's not a Virgo. She's
not quite.
I won't dox your baby.
Just missed it.
But we're Virgos. Me and Mike Jallah.
Virgo clan.
So we're part of the same. We were saying also we're part of the same tribe, right? Did you say clan or tribe?
I think yeah, this is the clan. Yeah, we're same clan.
I
don't like now that I'm saying that word a few times.
Yeah, it's a little problematic.
Yeah, you know.
And for me to say tribe, you know what? Let's just scratch that from the record. Let's start over.
I think tribe. Yeah, I mean, I think tribe. You could fit around tribe. I think.
Okay. Another friend of ours from high school is Michael Square, and I follow him on Twitter now. And I used to say to him that you, me, and him were the three Mikes, and I I found out that my dog Bullrock at the time, he was this English bulldog. I found his like birth certificate or whatever you would have for a dog, and he was born in Russia, and his name was Mike Kal, like MAIKAL.
Really?
I don't know if I told you that. So I was like, can he be part of the the three Mike? Can he be the fourth Mike? And Square was like, fuck no. We're not gonna have your damn dog. And I was like, all right, well,
the brooding
when
teen,
I have a podcast,
the brooding teen he is.
When I have a podcast, you're not coming on, at least not until Mike Jallah comes on.
You must repent for your sins, Square.
Yeah, he sure does. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's really cool to have a parent's perspective on this, because I don't think I've had a real parent on in this pod. I think the closest is my friend Johnny, who we call him a dad because he cleans the gutters at his house. And,
he's doing the housework.
And there's a conversation there about like calling someone a dad because they do work. It's
for me, it's very relatable though. Still, even still,
yeah. I mean, he looks like a dad. Like, I don't know how to.
He has the
explain
aura
it.
of dad. I know what you're talking about. I've seen it. Okay. Definitely seen it.
He has better jokes than most dads, though.
He's a high tier dad.
He's the Uber dad. I like I said, it's really cool to hear your perspective, man, and I'm glad your daughter is safe and with her loving parents. I was an early baby in August too,
nice.
And if it makes you feel better, not all of them turned out like me. So don't worry about your daughter; she's gonna be fine. So our first segment today is hashtag stolen from Twitter. And it's a segment where I take something from the social media website Twitter, and I take something that warrants deeper discussion, I feel like. And so I saw this website called inspirobot.me, and it's a website that generates an inspirational picture and then pairs it with randomized text. And have you seen this, Jallah?
I haven't actually.
Okay, cool. So this will be fun to hear you react to this thing. So I am going to share my screen with you, and if I can figure out how to do it, I'm old, so you
and I both. So in the Zoom, there's a green button down there that says share
screen. There it is. It's right there.
Yeah, there you go.
I used to make fun of old people.
Sometimes it hides.
Who didn't know the computer.
I know, right?
All right, perfect. So I will put my Google Chrome. I'll share that. Here we go.
Yeah, I see it.
Can you see my Google Chrome?
I see
okay,
it.
Perfect. Oh, you see, I'm looking at Allison's page. I was trying to get info about.
Yeah, she has she's got all the baby pics. She's my reporter on social media. I'm not
this is so awkward. I swear I'm not.
You're funny.
I'm not looking at Allison's page like, oh my God.
No. I know what you were looking at her for because I'm not on social like that, so I don't really have like any pictures at all.
I didn't know your daughter's name. Okay. So that's what I was looking at her page for.
Exactly. Well, and the beauty pictures of the Luna.
She's a beautiful little girl. She's very cute.
Thank you.
God, that was funny.
That was funny. But I instantly knew what it was for, so it didn't throw me off. Yeah. Like, what the hell?
And you can tell shit. I didn't do that, so it's not anything weird. Okay, so we're on. So this is a site that says I am an artificial intelligence dedicated to generating unlimited amounts of unique inspirational quotes for endless enrichment of pointless human existence. So it's kind of like a nihilistic sort of vibe, right? So then you click on generate, and it'll generate what I said earlier. So let's see what the robot does for me. And then we'll do you next. Respected. So it's a picture of a purple flower, and I'm going to post this on Twitter. So you know we're not. I just took a screenshot. Oh, my cursor's in the way. Okay. Respected is a man who unleashes his dagger.
Interesting.
And it's this beautiful shot of what type of flower is that, Mike?
Is that like it's not a lilac, is it?
Some sort of purple flower. That's all I know. We're not not romantic guys.
Unfortunately. Wow. Hey man, speak for yourself.
Yeah, you're the one who's married. What am I talking about? Okay. So that's a pretty cool bit. Do you know how to take a screenshot, Jallah?
I do.
Okay, perfect. If you could take a screenshot of yours, I'll stop sharing my screen, and then we can go to your inspirational robot.
No, let's see here. I don't have anything bizarre on my tabs, right?
I'm checking for you. You have 20 alerts on Facebook. Man, you got to check your Facebook.
I know, man. Non-social media
guy
over here. All right, let's get off that.
You don't have to check it in front of me.
Yeah. Let's. That was a force a habit muscle there. Okay. I'm Inspirobot. All right, let's see what I get.
All right.
Why do you want strangers to take things a little more seriously? It's like more of a question.
It's a guy skiing and he's having a fun time.
I should be taking him serious?
I think it's like why try to present yourself as anything other than your true self? And he's being a goofball.
Yes, reading into the quote.
You have to.
Want strangers to take things more seriously. I like that. We're whimsically.
It's a good question. Because it's like, I don't know, life's short. Why not have fun with it? You know, why not? I mean, there's certain things you should take a little more seriously, like COVID-19, probably.
Yeah.
But for the most part, things don't have to be so serious. Like my analysis of Sonic is like, why are you taking things more seriously, man? This is a movie about a cartoon rat. Anyway, well, that's a cool quote. So yeah, this is a site that you can try at your leisure. But I think it's a really interesting piece of AI to pair. Sometimes the quote and the image work, and sometimes they don't work at all. And I love when they don't work, because mine is a great example of it just seems like if you didn't know it was a robot making this, it seems like someone deeply unhinged. So yeah, your quote was fun to analyze. Mine, I feel like we're going to end up on a government watch list if we analyze respected as a man who unleashes his dagger. Like that's just fucked up.
It's vague, but to the point at the same time.
But it's vaguely threatening.
Right, right.
So I really don't want to analyze it.
The threatening part.
I don't want to uncover what's under that.
That's fair.
Respected as a man who punches a hole in his wall and has rage issues.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, that's stolen from Twitter. Mike, you can stop sharing your screen.
I shall.
All right, perfect. There you are. So we thought that it would be kind of fun to list 3 of our favorite moments of 2020, because y'all are getting so negative and saying 2020 was the worst year ever, and it was really pretty shit. But good stuff happened too, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to see what personal things happened in our lives that we're grateful for. So I'll start just to be polite. I sometimes ask the guest if they want to go, and it always seems kind of like I'm putting upon them. So I'll go first.
Fair.
Yeah, I'm a good man.
Good host.
Good host. Yeah. Or ghost for short. So, Jesus. So
it was a good dad joke. I thought I was the dad.
Yeah, I'll do the jokes. You can text me when you need a joke.
There you go. So
I actually, when I suggested this segment, I was like, I'm a pretty I like to look on the positive side of things. I think this will be pretty easy to come up with three things that I was really, three great moments from 2020. I had a really hard time, man.
It's tough, man.
I am not making it up. I'm not trying to act ungrateful, but it's like,
it's tough.
I literally scrolled through my Facebook timeline to remember like stuff, and I couldn't find much, but I did find three things that I was grateful for. So the first thing I was grateful for, or first moment that I loved of this year, was I got to visit Yellowstone National Park.
Nice.
I actually went in June, before I launched this podcast officially. And, it was beautiful, and it helped me to understand what we're fighting for when we fight for, the government to restrict waste, and to when the government repeals protections against these places. It's why it's a disaster and why it's scary, because nature's beautiful. I mean, it's really beautiful. And I saw so many great animals, so many beautiful bison. And there was actually, when we drove up, there was a bison standing in the road, and cars were slowly driving, next to him and not bothering him. And we could have, we took pictures. We could have bothered him, but we were close enough to, and of course we did not. But we saw wolves. We saw these beautiful ground squirrels, which make the most high-pitched chirp sound you've ever heard. And it gave me a beautiful appreciation for nature, and I had a lot of fun. I did go during the pandemic, and I want to take a second to say that we wore masks literally whenever we were out of the car.
And you guys were outside as well.
Yes. And every time we went back in the car, we hand sanitized, and we quarantined immediately after we got home and did not see anyone else.
That's
and
nice.
We did our best. It was still a risk that I probably wouldn't take now, but I'm grateful for it all the same.
It's good to have those things, I think, like to get those experiences, like even within, because we've been locked down. Basically locked down for close, it's been a year, or it's been almost a year of it. So I think it's nice to carve out those moments outside of what's currently going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And if you look at the cases around May, which is when we bought the tickets, like things were trending really well.
Summertime was decent. Summertime was pretty decent. Even late spring, it looked like it was going to be better than it was in summertime too. Like it was looking pretty damn good, because it was like the end of the first real big outbreak. That was when things were down. So we bought those tickets, and we were careful, and I don't regret it. And it was a lot of fun. So that was my number 3. Do you want to do like I go 3 and then you go 3? Yeah, I can do that.
We'll alternate. Okay. What was one of your picks?
Yeah, one of my picks, to start off with, is probably the quality time with my daughter that I've had, which has been amazing. Just watching her grow is amazing, and having that quality time not only with my daughter but with my wife and family, and a few consistent friends that we've that have been helping us through the quarantine as well. Especially now as my daughter's gotten older, she's been able to. A friend of mine, a close friend of mine, has 2 daughters around the same age, or actually in between. Like one is like 11 months, and the other is like two and a half years old. And so Luna fits right in between them, and to have them having that interaction together for the past couple of months as she's been aging and picking up on older toddler stuff from the oldest one and stuff like that. And just having that very tight unit during the quarantine, that's been very helpful. And then obviously the jewel of that is Luna and her growth and her amazingness. So that's always been really that's a big one that stands out to me. So
awesome.
Yeah,
quality time is an important thing in any relationship.
Absolutely.
And as I've gotten older, I appreciate it more and more. It's very, very cool to have that on your list. I would say my number 2 is casting my vote for the presidency. So I don't want to get political or nothing or be a downer, but it was really cool to get that taken care of, because this election cycle, I think you would agree, whatever your politics are, it was a fucking nightmare.
Yep.
And it continues to be a fucking nightmare because certain people won't fucking admit that they lost.
That's true. That is true. I don't know who
I
you're
won't say
talking
who.
about, but
we'll be fair. We won't say who. It
Right.
could have been Biden,
Okay.
but so it was really cool to do my part and to have respectful conversations about, everything going on with my family. We did get into one fight because things were just so stressful at when the results were being counted. That was a tough couple of days or whatever.
Yeah, this is
wasn't
the first time it's been drawn out like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was nuts. But no, I was really grateful to have that done. And it felt like sort of a door closing on, the election cycle. I'm like, God, I need to vote. Mm-hmm. Oh, I finally did it. I would say that's tied with my then partner and I. We did go to Lake Street and we donated some supplies to a. It was a place that was stationed in an old Mexican restaurant. I can't remember what they were called, but it was a group that was gathering. Like, we donated some canned food and some actually diapers and feminine hygiene products.
Mm-hmm.
We donated a lot of stuff to them, and that was really good. And we looked for places to clean because Minneapolis, it needed a lot of repair, and we didn't have much to clean because it was like 11 a.m. by the time we got there, and everyone was working so fast. So I did talk about that in an episode where it was like, because I was talking to someone who lives in Alabama, and I was like, I just wanted you to know that the media is not showing like how quickly the community's banded together and how supportive it is. And the stuff you're seeing on the nightly news is not indicative of like the vibe in Minneapolis right now.
Right.
Obviously things got tense every night in late May and June, but there was so many good people showing the best of humanity. So I would say those two things were my number 2 pick.
For sure. And, to piggyback actually off of what you were speaking about, this one's a little bit, follow me on this, but I would say number 2 has to do with the George Floyd, basically, I don't even know how to describe it. Like,
yeah,
me being a black man, having a black mixed daughter, like, that atrocity that happened onto George Floyd was, now we're saying the best of 2020. What I mean by that is not to see what had happened to George Floyd, but to see it was a perfect storm, really. Everyone had to be locked in to their homes. You know what I mean? Everyone was sitting.
Yep.
They had to be stationary. They had to be silent. They couldn't distract themselves with anything. And then all of a sudden we get the police doing, something that is not super unfamiliar to them. but on a very grotesque scale in front of a bunch of idle people. And this is around the world too. Like the pandemic had touched around the world. So it wasn't even just, we live in Minneapolis. It hit home. So like, we're like in the throes of it. But then the country's watching and even parts of the world is watching, and it had touched everybody so strongly that everybody had something to either say or was able to get out and show that, that frustration, pushing back against the nonsense that is the loose justice system and the looseness that the police have onto the community. There's a loose strain of like trust and respect in a way that seems to be, it's withering. It's because of these issues, and it's not everybody, of course, but these issues look frowned upon, basically, and it just doesn't shed a great light. So what I thought was amazing about the situation is it woke people up. You know what I mean? It woke people, and more so than that, it woke up the right kind of the right kinds of people. Not even the right kinds. What I'm trying to say is people that you wouldn't expect waking up from it woke up from it because they had to sit by and watch, this incident happened, and a man died in front of everybody, and that was, and the way that went about it was grotesque. So people reaching out, our city getting riled up and being like that push, and I want us to continue as Minneapolis to be like, I want us to be an example of how to correctly handle these types of situations from a legal standpoint, and be a beacon for that. And we're not going to be perfect because, not all of us have the power to sway and move things the way we want it to. But it should be done, I think, justfully and the right way, so that people can understand, like, this is not acceptable. This can't be something where like you just do this and we cool off for a while and then we just forget about it. And I love that the world was also with us on that tragic journey, but it woke people up. It really, even me, like, I'm not on social media that much. I don't really say that many things, and that's not to say that being on social media is like the worst thing in the world. It's just not really something that I sit on so often. Yeah. But when the issue had happened, we were quarantined. I'm in my house. I'm with my kid. I'm feeding her, and I'm hearing this news, and, the news is talking about it. People are talking about it, podcasting. People are talking about it. Everyone's talking about it. The world's talking about it. And I felt this heaviness on my heart about it. And I kind of was speaking to myself in my head, like, what is all this, the meaning of all this nonsense? And is there, what are we being provoked to do by having some blatant violence, happening upon, a black man? And so, like, I kind of had said some words on my social media, almost freeform thought of like what I was thinking at the time. And, how I kind of was thinking, like, okay, I don't know, like, this is wild that this is happening. And then everyone's pushing back and we're fighting against the cops trying to protect themselves. People are trying to protect themselves. And I just was like, what is all this unrest for? Like, what is this, why is this happening here? But you really see that it woke people up to, some of the realities that people face in this country. As a black man, people think about that, black people in general, or just people of color in general, think about these things, and you're seeing it, on the front, in the front lines. And everyone got a picture of it, and I think everybody kind of identified with some type of this type of injustice being put on, not in the same fashion, but a type of injustice that I think downtrodden people could relate to, and wanted to use this as a way to voice their frustration out. And so I think the cries were heard a lot louder, and I want us to have some change moving forward that helps implement not only just proper policing, but you got to take care of the citizens. These type of actions don't show that we care, or we're taking care of the citizens, or we care about their well-being. You're just treating people like cattle or animals or something. You're moving them around, pushing them around, knocking them around like you don't care. So I think that was a really big moment that I think helped spark something in a lot of people to wake them up to that. Same thing with you're speaking about the election, like these types of big things that making people feel adversely or, about what's going on currently has woken a lot of people up. And I think we're way more political and more in the talk that we need to be in when it comes to America and what we're doing moving forward. So that's kind of what I think about as my second one.
I totally thank you for sharing that. That was awesome, man.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. It was the world's largest civil rights protest in history, So there is something special that happened there that invoked. Yep. Mm-hmm. I hope it invoked real change. I guess it's too soon to say, but it was not the usual thing where people like myself, white people, posted something on Facebook and then, all right, let's get back to normal now. Like,
right. This is in 2004. Yeah. 2003, or sorry, not 2004. This 14. Is in 2014, yep. 2013, 2015. Where these things had, the Black community was way more involved in these types of talks, and some people, periphery would come in and hear about these talks, but they weren't. This was when the world was still moving. People could still occupy themselves. Yeah. Oh, I'm at work. I'm busy. Oh, I'm doing this and that. Oh, I got to worry about. I can't worry about this. We all had to sit down.
Yep.
Based on, coronavirus, and then bam, something right in your face. You can't avoid it. It's right there, and you have to respond. It has to make you feel something.
Yeah, so definitely. And just because we're like home more now because of coronavirus doesn't negate the fact that we did see the videos. And I actually never saw the video. To tell you the truth.
I never saw it either.
I didn't need to. Be honest. I read about it.
No,
and I heard about it from people who saw it, and I've seen plenty
of
pictures.
Into ingesting that. Yeah. That type of. I've never been one to ingest those type of imagery.
I can't do it.
No. The words are enough.
I've read about disturbing videos, and a part of it stays on my soul for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
So I don't need
just the words. By the way, just the words. It's not even. There's some visual stills. I've seen those, but I'm not going to. You don't want that type of poison. Certain people can handle that.
Well, they think they can handle it, but I think there's something in their mental makeup that I don't know. I don't think that it's good. This is maybe a little too opinionated, but I don't think it's good to look at those disturbing videos of real life gruesome things. So. I think it sticks with you even in a subconscious way. Like if you get what's the word? Desensitized to human suffering or animal suffering, I think you lose a lot of what makes someone a member of the human race. It's scary stuff. I don't want to be desensitized to. Anyway, that's a huge tangent, and it's kind of selfish to go there. But
no, I follow you. Okay. I follow you 100% because that's kind of. I was going to actually say that, but that I didn't have to see it. I heard the words. I don't need to ingest that. I already felt strongly about it based on, what had been going on. I understand what goes on. We don't even have to get into the details, man. crying about his mom who's not even alive.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to hear that.
Yeah.
Like I've read enough. I've read enough about it, and it has already affected me. So it's like those types of things. This is why, you know, the accountability. The word of the year for 2020 that I was thinking about was accountability, I think. And that touches a few different areas, not only the George Floyd and the police type of thing, but even from a government presidential standpoint, like accountability. That word is that's like one of the top 3 words of 2020. I think accountability would be in there.
Yeah. I totally agree. And also in other areas of social justice, that's a big word. I do want to say that one thing that I noticed when I looked at like comments from people who, I don't know, I look at the comments too much on social media, right? And
I think most people do.
Yeah. And this was the first thing that, like, forgive me for saying this, but ignorant racist people couldn't really deny. Like with certain other people, it was like, oh, Michael Brown. What did they say? Michael Brown was a gang member. Is that what they said?
Or like,
stuff like that. Gang member, I really don't remember.
Selling something on the street or some nonsense like that.
And there was another one where a black man was slain by a police officer, and they said, "Oh, we have closed circuit footage of him robbing a place or something like that." And it's stuff like that. Ridiculous. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, so he deserved to be killed,
right? He should die then.
Yeah. That's. So this is the first time when people were like, okay, this cop is literally killing this guy who's not like able to defend himself. He's not able to resist. He's laying on the ground.
That was just laying there.
They're like, okay, this one was bad. That was the first time I've seen people go, okay, this cop is an idiot. Like this.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was.
This is what I'm saying. It was you could flip people with that.
Yeah.
With that.
And I think it probably did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I kind of have it on that list, because there's no he said she said or he said she said about it. It's very this is very out and blatant. And
the people who want to defend the police officer have now taken to the whole he was on fentanyl argument. They say he was on a lethal dose of fentanyl, so that's why he died. And that's such a shitty road to go down. Yeah,
it's lazy,
because fentanyl can still stay in someone's system up to 24 hours after they take it. And also, it's the whole, like, ever since Reagan was president, people have been demonizing drug use, but particularly African American drug use. That's what Reagan's whole super strict drug policies were really about. Most white people who, anyway, sorry, we're going off on a we're going out of 2020.
so back to the 80s and 70s. I mean, I wouldn't mind going down the tangent.
Top 3 of 1980. No. But yeah, I totally understand that being your number 2 and respect it like crazy, man. And I want to see the systemic change that you do as well, I think. I would consider myself someone who has been changed by not just this year, but the last few years. You know, I've become more conscious of the world around me. And I always used to think of myself as like, I'm not racist, and but it's not enough to just be not racist. It's not enough to just be a Democrat. You know, you can't just like live your life. So I don't know. It's almost neutral to be like, I'm not racist. Okay, great. Are you doing anything positive for people of other, races and cultures? Or are you just kind of,
posting,
doing your own thing in your own world? Yeah. So
yeah, because people are in there. I think what you notice, even outside of that, is what you see the difference between the 2015 era versus now is people were in their own bubbles previously.
It's very comfortable in the bubble.
In your own bubbles previously, so you didn't have to. You weren't idle with everyone on the same page, like it happened in 2020, when everybody's sitting idly on the same page, and something strikes, you're gonna, at the very least, you're going to feel something that you didn't feel before, or have some type of understanding of what people are complaining, and not even complaining. I don't like that, complaining, but people are vehemently angry about and need change to happen within certain sectors of the government and the law system, and it's a whole thing that needs reconstruction.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it was a very unique circumstance that I hope we move forward with.
Well, let's hold each other accountable. People listening to this, if it seems like people are forgetting, like, do your part to not forget, I guess. I mean, that's all you can do. I've done reading, and I support, I don't know, it's tacky to say what organization I support, right? But I have a $10 donation to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. And they actually sent me a really cool coronavirus mask.
Sick.
Yeah. So yeah, if you support them, you get a mask. It's pretty cool.
Right.
You always need more. You always need more of those. But yeah, find something that you feel good about giving your money toward, and talk to your friends and family about stuff if they're saying ignorant stuff. Like, it's so easy to hear someone being ignorant and just like go
being kind of mum.
Yeah, and just go, let's just move past this sticky wicket. But I think when you're someone like me, it's important to use privilege to, have difficult conversations with people. So anyway,
I think at the very least, I think that's important to do. Like, just kind of pointing out, I don't mean the mob, the jump on everybody mob mentality that some people are kind of doing, like, more. That's more of a social media thing. I think more in real life, as you conversate with people, or, interface with people, if things, you're seeing things that don't feel right, and it's not right, I think you should voice those opinions out, because nobody's going to do anything to you about it. I mean, It's important to let people know kind of where you stand, and where they, where you think, let people know, like, nah, that wasn't cool. We don't talk like that around here. We don't think like that around here, blah, blah, blah.
Or asking, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, those little things I think are really, are very simple, small things that I think people can do, to kind of let that grassrootish type, thing move throughout at least your small circle or community. I mean,
sure. I think it's also cool to ask a question like, hey, why did you say that? I'm curious. Like, right. Without vitriol, without judgment, just, hey, why'd you say that? I'm just curious. Oh, okay. Well, it's interesting you said that, because I think that's sort of like a negative way to sit, and we could talk.
A negative way to think about somebody, a negative way to voice your opinion about something.
I think
not a great way to express, like, to lash out your anger onto somebody else because you don't feel good. These type of things that people do throughout life, or throughout their daily lives and things like that could easily be reconstructed and figured out better. So I don't know. It's a lot of easy things.
So, my number one pick, after all that really important talk we just had, is going to sound really silly at first. But honestly, my number one pick is starting this podcast. I started it in 2020. I started recording it in May of 2020. And it's always been a dream of mine to have a podcast. And my therapist actually really pushed me to, like, when she would ask me how it was going, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, I haven't recorded anything in a while, and I don't know if I'm going to do it. She would push me to, she could see that I was sort of balking and sort of getting ready to give up on it. and she helped motivate me to keep at it. And I've had really great conversations. I've met wonderful people, reconnected with old friends. That's you.
Jallah.
That's you. And Aaron, too. I mean, I always saw Aaron around at comedy shows, as you can imagine. But that was our first time having a real conversation in a long time.
Comedy renaissance, man.
Yeah. And I honestly have had really thoughtful conversations. There's one episode where it was going to be about The Simpsons, and we talked about the Me Too movement a lot, and cultural stuff and race stuff, and the episode after the George Floyd stuff, like that episode, I honestly wasn't going to talk about it on the podcast, but I went for a long walk, I remember, and I was just like, I got to be true to myself, and I live in Minneapolis, like I'm not going to hide from this, and that's what I try to do on the show, is not hide from stuff necessarily, but try to present things in a uplifting and hopeful way. So even that episode starts out kind of heavy with me talking about like choppers flying above me when I let my dog out and stuff, but not like right above me. They were in the sky.
Literally above you.
They're like, citizen, because there was a curfew, and I let my dog out at like, she had to go out at like 4:50. No, like 6:50. I can't remember when the thing ended, but it was like 10 minutes before the curfew ended. And I was like, holy shit, I hope this chopper doesn't see me and get mad at me.
It's like, what the hell is that guy doing down there with his dog?
With his vicious animal. And then my dog's just like trying to sniff a blade of grass. But yeah, so it's the thing that I would say is that podcasting is a really fun thing to do. It's given my life a sense of, I've got to choose my words carefully here. Gives me something to look forward to every week, to put up the new episodes, see what people think. To record a new episode every week is just a gift. I'm having a lot of fun talking to you tonight. It's really cool. And I can't imagine my life without it now, to have this outlet to talk to people and to hear people. More importantly, to hear people. Because I love, like when you were talking earlier, like I love when someone is so passionate about a subject that they're speaking a symphony, and it's a beautiful symphony sometimes, man. I take a genuine interest in other people, and that's why I love doing this show. And it's been the best part of my year, a really tough year where I had a breakup, and I the coronavirus stuff. So not in that order, by the way. Like, of course. I don't know how I would rank all this stuff from 2020. Let's not do that. That's in poor taste. But it was a tough year. And, this really helped a lot. And I'd like to think it helped other people too. So that's my pick for number one. I'm not trying to be self-aggrandizing and putting that above the other stuff. I'm not really ranking these three things. It's just
these are just moments.
Yeah. Okay.
Standout moments.
Now that I've backpedaled all the way to Louisiana, what's your pick for number one, my friend?
I'm gonna go in a more wholesome-y, not goofy, but like much lighter. I gave you two very important peaks, with heaviness to them. And I can say this one's tied with two things. I said I was a gamer, so I could say third one. I snagged a PS5. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Hit the applause button there.
I don't have an applause button. And,
no, I'm just kidding.
Here we go. Oh shit. Okay. That's all I got for you. I actually, before we recorded this episode, I accidentally deleted the button.
You deleted the drum?
On accident, yeah. So I sent a message to their support. And they haven't gotten back to me yet. So I don't know what to do if I have a funny guest on. Oof.
Oh, man.
Good thing. No, I'm just kidding. You're funny. Don't worry. Okay, go.
Wait a minute.
Hey, fuck you, buddy. So you got a PS5. That's awesome. I know those are. I may not be a gamer, but I've heard about those things, and I heard they're hard to get.
Yeah, very coveted. I mean, it's a gaming console at the end of the day, so it's not. it's more of like a cultural thing to mention it, more so than something that's like the most important thing of my life, type of thing. I don't key to that, but I'm a hobbyist, and that's one of my hobbies out of many. And I got lucky, and my Costco membership came in handy for the few times that it's come in handy. That was one of them. So
Costco sells video games?
Yeah, they have electronics in there, which is so random.
Wow.
You would think it's just like a grocery, like food place, but they're kind of like a jack of all trades, and they carry like a bunch of just random stuff, like appliances and TVs and phones, and then they sell like big packs of warehoused foods. They touch the whole gamut. So,
and how much are they paying you for this?
Oh yeah, this is I'm getting at least six figures. I mean, at the end of the year, it's at least six.
I'm just kidding, but
you're the third podcast I mentioned.
You've just been recording all day. You got your little recording studio fort going there.
Yeah.
Sound isolation booth.
You see the Costco banner in the background, right?
Because if you don't, then we got a problem.
We got to re-record.
This isn't a video podcast, but okay. Damn. I get it. You need to have the Costco vibe in the recording.
The Costco vibe.
It makes everything just sound a little better, a little bigger, right?
Yeah. More savings, right?
I've never been a Costco member, but my dad is obsessed with it. So
yeah, I've only recently got it, and to be honest, I think like my parent-in-laws had it, have had it for a little while, and I think we got it originally for like an appliance or some like a washer dryer or something like that. But then my main thing was like, I get to use the gas stations, because I've always wanted to use they're always in like very convenient locations, and I actually work right next to one. So I was like, yeah, that's going to be my gas station. If I get a membership, I could just hit them up. And then quarantine hit, and I'm never at the office. So it's like,
well, the membership, I was going to say this membership isn't coming in handy, but you got your PS5. So
yeah, I got the PS5. So on the backside of that, my tied for 3 or whatever, or 1, excuse me, my tie for 1 is I got the basement of my house redone, basically. It was finished. It was a finished basement, but it wasn't what we wanted visually. And so I was able to get hooked up from my parent-in-laws with somebody that they've worked with. And I think that's and it basically got it all that happened probably it probably started in the summertime and ended recently, like within the past like month or two. So that's been really awesome, and looking forward to just kind of reorganizing the home so that, we basically live upstairs, and downstairs is just there, like it has like the washer and dryers down there, but nothing else is really down there. So now that we've had it redone, we can kind of rearrange and shift things and put the entertainment downstairs, bring the vinyl and the music upstairs, and kind of enjoy the whole home as a whole piece. So that was a nice thing that happened this year as well. So
sweet,
yeah, man.
Well, 2020 ain't all bad, folks.
No,
even if our top 3 best moments included some black clouds.
Yeah,
like I said, it's silver linings, and I'm sure there's also lots of fun things that I'll remember after recording this, and I'll go, damn it. I mean,
said that.
And I'll call you up at like 3 a.m.
Like, bro, I didn't say this, but
I didn't say one. I want you to know. Man, I just want you to know I was dishonest. I lied to you, man. This was actually my number 3. And you're like, I don't care.
I was actually thinking about that now that you called.
Because my number 3.
Actually.
So our penultimate segment, good word, is Dunkfest, which is a segment of the show where we take a second to think about something from the last week of our lives or so, And I guess yours isn't from the last week of your life, but that's okay.
Worse.
With the way time is in 2020, it feels like it was last week, right? So we think of something from our last week or so, and just like give it a good ribbing, give it a good takedown, and it doesn't have to be negative. In fact, I'd prefer if it wasn't negative and we keep it fun. This is Dunk Fest, and my Dunk Fest for the week is I want to dunk on social media itself.
I like
the fact that things can spiral out of control where, like, what starts out as a story about a guy being a dick to his daughter. So there's this guy called Bean Dad.
Not me, by the way.
Yeah, it's not you. I want to be clear. So there's this guy who is known. His name is John something. And I know I'm very helpful. Good research department on this show.
John Doe.
John Doe. And that's awesome. And his daughter was hungry for lunch, I believe. And he was like, okay, well, get yourself a can of beans. And she didn't know how to open it.
Mm-hmm.
So he said incredulously, you don't know how to open it? And he got out the can opener and then said, go, use the can opener. And she's like, I've never been taught how to use it. And he's like, aha, this is a teachable moment. And he does like 10 tweets describing like how he watched her struggle with it and wouldn't help her. And she kept trying to do it like on the side of the can to open it. And he just lets her suffer. And then she would be like, I'm hungry. She'd start crying. And he'd say, we're not going to eat until you open that can of beans.
How old is the kid?
So, she's 9 years old.
Okay. Okay.
So the discourse on Twitter I think it's like 10 tweets that he talks about it. And it's written very much like in trying to be funny. Like he's trying to be like the cool dad though, or like the smart dad who's like
I'm going to teach my kid to push through adversity. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. And he was like, she really doesn't have much persistence, I believe is what he said.
Mm-hmm.
He said that. But yeah, at the end, she did finally figure it out after 6 hours. So the thing that people are pissed off about is that the way to teach a kid is to show them and then have them attempt to do it.
Right.
And it takes about like 45 seconds, maybe.
Yeah.
Ideally, some kids have a hard time learning stuff. That's,
yes. Mm-hmm.
But I think the issue is that he just had her suffer and
6 hours is a long time, man.
It's cartoonish.
Yeah, very.
And the fact that she's crying. And so when people said, hey, so you just taught her that she has to work for food. She has to be scared to ask you for help because you're going to, make it this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that discourse, but I don't think what he did was abusive. And the discourse on Twitter is he's abusive.
He's not abusive. He's extreme.
Yeah. And I would show you the tweets, but he deleted his Twitter account and I couldn't find the thread anymore.
Jeez.
So the thing that I started to get concerned about was people are saying that one, he's abusive, which sort of minimizes actual child abuse.
Yeah.
And then I did see people saying, I hope child services gets called and he gets his daughter taken away.
Okay. Pushing it.
Yeah. And then people did look in his past for tweets and he did say some really shitty jokes about Jews, honestly, and about rape and all this. But I think the jokes are shit. They're terrible jokes.
Okay.
Not funny.
Yeah.
But do I want his daughter taken away because I think this guy sucks and is an edgelord? No.
It's people jump to these extremes that's the issue.
Well, and it's easy to do that when you're sitting there and so there's a part of human brains that feeds on, for lack of a better term, drama. Yeah. I felt it happening to me. Mm-hmm. And it's very easy to judge someone else. And honestly, like in nature, when an animal is getting killed, other animals come out and watch. Like it doesn't have to be the same species either. Like it happens in nature. There's some part of us that likes seeing someone be the main character of Twitter for the day.
Right.
So I want to dunk on that whole model. Like there were, and I hate to say it, but there were like 3 other things today that were like the big story of the day. Yeah, the big story of the day, where it's like, God, this is so fucking exhausting. And it's like, I wish I didn't have Bean Dad and Kumail getting jacked and short people. The only reason guys like short girls is because they want to control them. And there was like 4 different like main things on Twitter. Usually it's one. So
yeah,
that's why I want to. People are going nuts in this new year, man.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I want to. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say people get the issue with, I think, a lot of the social media stuff is the mob mentality is really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get in mob mentality mode, you don't really think for yourself so much as you just start doing what everybody else is doing to like be a part of the conversation or be in the scruff, the rubbernecking mentality, this whole thing where I need to see what's going on. I'm going to interact with what's going on. It's not the best. It's just not, it's not the way to, I don't know. I think this is one of the main problems with social media. The mob mentality thing is throws people off, and it makes extremes of things more easily accessible to people. This side or that side. And then you just start going back and forth. It's too loud and chaotic, and you can't understand. People are also having a problem understanding. Context too. Yeah. Context is getting lost a lot in this era. Which is unfortunate because context is super important, especially with people. Context and people, like those are 2 things that are like needed to understand what somebody is trying to convey or whatever the case. These things get lost in the spin cycle in social media, and it becomes a clip or this little thing or and people can have strong opinions and feelings about things, but to go to extremes of trying to, with the Bean Dad thing, like trying to get his child taken away, like as a 9-year-old girl, like now, if it was a 6-month-old, a 1-year-old, like, oh, you got to open this thing and eat, or else we're not eating. Like, it's a different. Yeah. It's a completely now we're moving into the territory of he's now become past extreme. This is my opinion, by the way. You can feel you can feel different, not you per se, but one can feel differently about it. Now I feel like it moves from extreme, an extreme space to an abusive space.
Yeah,
it can be in that space. And I'm saying somebody who doesn't, like the 9-year-old doesn't know how to open the thing, but that doesn't mean again, the guy was very extreme. I don't condone doing what he did. Like I like the learning. I like the way he's thinking from a learning perspective, saying like, I'm going to teach you something, and the way that I've learned, or maybe the way I taught when I was a child, was my parent or person would sit me down and have me work on this thing until I got it. So I'm going to do that with you. But for me, in my opinion, he moves to an extreme space when it's the length of time that he has to do this practice in order for to understand something. That's where I feel like, okay, now you're teetering. And some people, it's like, okay, you've already teetered too far past it. And now you're in an abusive space, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm assuming they think it's abusive because it has to do with food and eating. That's a extreme, whatever. I see the viewpoint, but attacking people or attacking him, like, you don't live with them. You don't know these people. You know what I'm saying? You're hearing it from one man's perspective, and he's probably being tongue in cheek about it, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. The actual length. So
it does end with him making a joke where he says the worst part about it is that, now she wants to open every fucking can in the house or something. So he was trying to be like, it was trying to be like a funny story, and people didn't see it that way. So I get why. To me, I don't have a child, but I would want it to be like a fun thing where it's like, oh, let's see if we can figure out how to do this.
Exactly.
Like I believe in you. You can do this, and his story doesn't get that message across. It's more like he presents himself as kind of this all-knowing adversary to her.
Right.
I think I wish I could send you the Twitter thread. And also keep in mind, folks, we're not commenting on his jokes about, Jewish people and sexual assaults. And I'm not going to go there. A lot of them are from 2012, but some of them were as recent as like 2016 that I saw. So I don't know. He's an adult man. He with canceling, I really don't like when we bring up stuff from someone's past like 10 years ago and they were like 15 years old and then now they're 25. Like, I don't know.
Remember what he said when he was a teenager? You remember that? That's probably fucking has never changed.
Right. We've all said shit we regret. I've done shit I regret. So that was my Dunk Fest, is just social media itself and dogpiling. Let's say my Dunk Fest is dogpiling.
Yeah. Dunk Fest on the dog pile.
Did you have a Dunk Fest?
One that just came to mind to me. I'm sure I could dunk on some other things. But a random thought. I'm going to dunk on Netflix. Not as a whole, because I do appreciate their content, but they recently canceled a show that I really enjoyed. That I don't know why they would, especially when the show is The Patriot Act, and that's Hassan Minhaj's or Minhaj, I should say, show that he had on Netflix, which is basically like a Daily Show / Jon Stewart, or not Jon Stewart, but what was the HBO show with the guy with the glasses?
John Oliver.
Thank you. Many Johns. Yeah, did the John Oliver, kind of their version of that. But I thought I really loved Hassan's version of that. And I thought I think he's a pretty funny dude. And he was hitting on a lot of really good points and things that I thought were pretty good and really pretty poignant. I think toward the end of his season, he was really starting to get into his groove. And he started speaking about more issues, like things related to our generation, like school debt and things like that. And then he did this during the quarantine, which he was still doing great work with, without the studio audience, because you don't really need studio audience for that particular type of show. But he went 100% in on the George Floyd thing, like no one I had seen do in that type of platform. I thought it was amazing. Like, he went off. It was the best showcase. Like, this sounds like some performative stuff, but like, he was super passionate. He just laid in, accountability all around. It was amazing. And then like an episode or two after, and then he's canceling him. Like, he's getting into his bag. He's really, really repping for our for the generation and like the current issues that are going on, and you decide to cancel the show. Like, I don't like to get conspiratorial, but I hate when people get into their flow and start really talking like realness, and then they get removed for some random reason. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I have never seen that show. I thank you for reminding me about it, because I meant to. That is, there's a conspiracy that his show got canceled because the election was coming up.
Yes.
So that's the conspiracy. And honestly, when you get to a corporation and get to the people at the top, I don't think it's pretty offensive for me to say that a lot of those people are going to be supporting suppression of like far left voices. I'm not like he's far left.
Yeah, I think he's more middle left or whatever you want to say. I mean, that's me speaking for somebody else, but I think
I know in restaurants. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. That's okay. That's usually my issue, actually. No, I think he's more fair and just about issues, and it can joke about both sides or both things without being weird. Cool. But yeah,
Netflix, we're gonna dunk on you.
I did like Queen's Gambit, though. I'll give him that.
I need to see that. Honestly, dude, I have not kept up with Netflix in like 2 years. I can't remember the last. I think the last original I watched of theirs was Firefest, the documentary about that. That was really good. But I don't know, a lot of their original programming I really haven't liked. So I did not watch the Tiger Friend or whatever his name. Tiger Prince.
2020, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Very beginning. Yeah. Mike Jallah, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I have one last thing that we're going to do. Let me play you the theme song.
It's time to end the show while we're zooming. Let's give some answers to thoughtful questions our fans have sent. And I'm well aware this theme's a disaster. Are we questioned or are we answered?
All right. It's Are We Question or Are We Answer? The segment where we take a fan question and we answer it. And no other podcast does this. And I know I know what you're thinking. There's no way I played that whole opening for Mike. And the answer is I did. I play it for every guest, and it's very uncomfortable.
I give it a 3.
Out of what?
Out of 5.
Huh.
Just kidding.
I was hoping it was out of 3, to tell you the truth.
That would have been funnier.
Usually we do a new question for each episode, guys, but I got a special request from this week's guest. He wanted to revisit another question that we had already done. And, this asshole, like, he's totally throwing off the whole show by doing this. But, oh shit, you're the guest. I'm sorry, man.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, good. You turned down my mic. Yeah, this is live. Shit. So, the question for this week is the old classic by our listener, Marissa. If you had to watch one TV show and one movie for the rest of your life, which would it be and why?
So I love this question, so I requested it because on an episode that I was listening to, I'm pretty sure it was Aaron's, after the show, I kept thinking about it. I was like, you know what? That's interesting, And you had mentioned one of my picks, actually. I don't think, if I'm not mistaken, you had mentioned one of my picks. So let's just go in my thinking of these two things: one movie, one TV show. So I think for me, I have to have one comedy, funny thing, and one very dramatic, masterclass-ish type show or thing, whether it be a movie or a show.
Sure.
So easy pick for me for the comedy side. I go comedy on the movie side because I feel like you can watch a movie comedy, like, I guess, quickly, easy. So I go one movie. I go with Coming to America. I think it's always been like my favorite comedy, and I've seen that movie ever since I was like much younger than I should probably be seeing that movie. It was like I probably was like 9 or something like that when I first saw it. But hilarious. Eddie Murphy, obviously, the king. Arsenio Hall is amazing. Arsenio Hall is amazing in it as well. Everybody in that movie, actually, like, I think everybody had like played their part in that movie being absolutely hilarious. Even like the really small side characters are probably like the funniest things about that movie. These weird guys that maybe get a few minutes in the movie, just hilarious. So I can watch that movie over and over again. Damn near quote the thing. So that's hilarious. So when it comes to the show, I actually had two options that stuck out to me. I love other shows, of course, but these two kind of came to me as for different reasons. I think I have to go Mad Men.
Yes.
And this is what you were talking about. When you said Mad Men, I was like, I always had that show up very high as far as like, I just think it's honestly probably some of the best acting in a television show. There's very few shows where the acting is that high level than in Mad Men, I think. From a lot of people that you don't really, these people are not big name people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, John Hamm's been working for a while, but that was like where he really hit. And there's a lot of other people that I don't think, I've ever seen before in shows, and they all play an amazing cast, amazing roles. The deepness of the show, as far as like the main character and his woes and his battle through it all, and the side characters and their roles. Elizabeth Moss is amazing. Her relationship between her and Draper is like the best.
Yeah,
like is the best. Like you and you know, you're a huge fan of the show. One of my favorite scenes in that show is when Elizabeth Moss's character, that I'm forgetting the name for some reason, Peggy she's telling Draper that she's quitting.
Yeah. And
he's like, no, just come on. You know, he's completely like, no. She's like, no, I'm serious. I'm done. I'm going to do something. I'm going to go to this other company, whatever it was. And he broke down so crazy. I kisses her hand. Amazing, yo.
And he's just about to cry. I mean, yeah.
It's
that's
amazing. Yeah.
I fucking love Mad Men. I had no idea you were into it. That's awesome.
Huge.
You know, you talk about like these actors, and I guess I never thought about it until you told me that, but like they really do inhabit these characters to an insane level, where I watch Roger or John Slattery. I watch him as Roger in this show, and I see him in another show, and I don't see him as playing Roger again. You know, like he may look the exact same and have the same hairstyle in the other show, but no, these people create 3-dimensional, real characters like that feel perfectly flawed, as all of us are, you know. God, I mean, there's this episode called Signal 30, which is about Pete. Basically, it shows what an empty and sad person he is inside, where the episode shows he lives in the suburbs with his family. He is getting his driver's license. He finally has Dawn over for dinner, which is like a goal of his. It's the most aggressive invite to dinner since Michael Scott invited Pam and Jim to dinner. You know, I guess it's the other way around with timelines, right? Because 60s, thousands, but and so this episode shows him in this really complex way where he's not really being likable throughout the episode, but you see him and you get to know him. And at the end of the episode, when he gets his face punched in by Lane for being a complete dick, by the way, he deserves it.
Yeah, for sure.
When he and Don are in the elevator, and he says, "I have nothing, Don," and he starts crying. Like, I genuinely feel sorry for this spoiled, rotten shit weasel. You know, I love him. Man. I love him. I mean, and he and Peggy are like Don's kids, his little work kids. And so when they have that episode where they go to Burger Chef, and them and Don, they're sitting at a table. Don's on the one side, and he's sitting next to Peggy, and then Pete's on the other side. And the camera pans or zooms out and shows them essentially eating together like a family. It's just like,
yep.
That was in the last season. It was so good. Oh,
perfect. It's perfect.
Great choice is my point. Sorry, I went on a tangent, but I fucking love
No. Mad Men deserves Mad Men deserves the tangent.
We're going to do a whole episode on Mad Men. Okay. We're going to both rewatch it, and we're going to do an episode on it. That's my plan.
Let's do that.
Okay. Seriously. Because I have a lot to say about the show. And I think it's completely underrated.
Super.
Honestly, like, I got to bring the show to a close, but Mike, thank you so much for coming on. Seriously, that was awesome. Mike, here is your opportunity to plug anything you want to plug. If you have anything you want to plug, go ahead.
What are we plugging, man? I'll just do some shout outs.
Okay.
That's
go
cool.
ahead.
Shout out to the wifey, Allison Jallah. Shout out to the Luna Jallah, my daughter. Shout out to the close friend of mine, Molly Oleason, and her 2 daughters. And shout out to just kind of 2021 being the turning of the page.
Hell yeah.
That we need.
For sure. It's cool to have opportunities in front of us. A year isn't real, time isn't real, but it is nice to be able to say 2020 is done. Sometimes I have a hard time believing it. But yeah, it's going to be like a Friday the 13th movie, and 2020 is going to come back out of the pond and crawl back and get us. But I know you forgot to shout out Aaron. I'll edit in a shout out for Aaron.
Yeah, I don't know that guy that well though. That's
your best. He knows what he did, man. All right. Well, again, it was a pleasure. We're definitely going to do a Mad Men episode.
Absolutely.
Unless my stats show a huge drop off in that portion, and then I will sort of just we'll just talk about Pixar. So that's another episode of ITPNT in the books. I'm going to say the same thing I say every week. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and we will come at you next week. Mike, I like to give the guest a chance to say a wacky goodbye. So it puts you on the spot. It's really rude. Say goodbye to the folks at home.
Skidamarinky dinky dink, skidamarinky doo. That was a Luna dad moment right there.
Beautiful. All right, guys. See you next week. We love you. Bye. Yeah, that is another ITPNT in the books, and this one was hard to sit on for a while because it's one of the best ones we've ever done. I really loved it, and shout out to Mike Jallah for being very supportive in the rough edit process. Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please like, and that's YouTube. Please go to the Apple Podcasts app and rate us and review us. It helps the algorithm shoot us right into the recommended feeds or some shit like that. Follow ITPNT Podcast on Twitter and on Facebook and Reddit. And please send in questions at isthispodcast@gmail.com. Otherwise, I will see you next week where we finally talk about what happened at the Capitol, because I know you care about what I have to say about that situation. All right, catch you next week.